Hi, I'm Seven Strider with something that is a little out of my comfort zone, which is a review of a comic book, Justice League Dark issue 1 of the New 52. I do hope to make this a series, and I hope to catch up with where DC Comics are at present. At present, I believe they are on Forever Evil issue 2, and I'm just going to be covering Justice League Dark and any tie-ins that may happen along the way. I only have up to issue 9 at the moment, but I do hope to pick up further issues in the future and cover the entire series of Justice League Dark and any tie-ins that happen. I'm sorry about the wobbliness of the camera, but this was the best way I could find to record it, and I'm actually sat right behind the camera, which is probably disconcerting, especially with the hands being here. It's kind of like a voice in your own head or something. So let's get on with it. Justice League Dark, stories by Peter Billigan, and the art is by Mikhail Janin. I am sorry if I pronounced that guy's name wrong, which I almost certainly have. So let's get into it. Justice League Dark, New 52, issue 1. So straight up we're introduced to Madame Xanadu, who is a fortune teller who obviously has visions of the future, and she's very disturbed by what she's seeing. We see some of the main players here in the tarot cards, which is a nice little touch, and apparently that's something that stays throughout the entire series, including Justice League Dark, where they are now. And it's just a nice little touch because it kind of gives you a head up on where things are going and the characters involved. Sorry if I'm talking a little fast, but yeah, I'm just a little excited to do this video. So we're introduced to this new character called June Moon. Apparently she was pre-50 New 52 as well, but I wouldn't know anything about that. I am very amateur when it comes to comics. I don't read them as often as I'd like to, due to the fact they're not readily available in my area. But she seems to be crazy and is having all sorts of visions, and she gets off the street just to get away from this crazy fire demon that she's seen, where she's recognised as the woman off the TV by a small boy. As we turn the page, we see what they were viewing on the news, and that is this scene of chaos in a lovely double page spread, in which every single woman who's walking along this motorway causing, or freeway, whatever you want to call it, is June Moon, causing untold chaos. This is obviously some magical interference that's going on, and at the bottom here we see Madame Xanadu with the playing card of who is going to be introduced as I turn off the page. So we cut to Shade, the changing man, who is the possessor of the M-Vest, which is actually this here and not that funky looking card. It's also called the Meta-Vest. This is something that isn't really introduced that well in this first issue. It's just like, yeah, I have this vest, it exists, and this is what it does. It's going crazy because of the magical disturbances, and he has to go out and investigate. Of course, his girlfriend, who is named Kathy, is very upset about this. She just wants to say, like, I just want us to have a future together and a whole life together, and she's devastated by this. Just turn off the page, she actually starts to dissolve, which is very interesting because it turns out she is a construct of the Meta-Vest, or M-Vest if you prefer. And she starts to question if she's real, if her memory and her life is just a fabrication. And all Shade can do is comfort her and say, of course you're real as I can make you, which is kind of heartbreaking. Already we're getting a real gist of who this Shade character is. And maybe this is a ritual that he does more than once. He brings his possibly dead or just missing girlfriend, makes a construct of her, just because he's feeling lonely. Of course, the bed's a little unmade. Judge for yourself what he means by lonely. So as we go over the page, we're introduced to the villain of the piece, who seems to be locked away in some sort of envelope. It's described in a very arty way, which is like, as one enters the envelope, time itself slows down, neutrons crush inside atoms. By rights, the weight of the envelope should make it fall through the world. It's just very arty talk for it. It's magic. So yeah, that's kind of the whole thing of the Justice League Dark. Magic and the supernatural. Very different to many other comics across the DC range, which is what makes me like it. So we're introduced to the Enchantress here, and she's insane. I don't know if this is something that happened during Flashpoint. I understand that she was around during Flashpoint, but I haven't read it. I can't possibly comment. But she obviously has a unique relationship with this June Moon, which may also be pre-New 52, but something I'm unaware of. As we go over the page, we see the effects of the insanity, which is radiating out from the Enchantress. Books rain down in a library that are written in a dead tongue, killing several people. Cows give birth to mechanical meat slicers, and one farmer commits suicide seeing that. And the power station gains sentience, gets bored, and threatens to blow itself up. And then we're seeing June Moon hitchhiking. It is obvious she wants to get somewhere. She's obviously one of the less crazy of the many that seem to be out there. Or maybe they are all the same. We don't know yet. As we go on to the next page, we see Batman and Zatanna discussing that this is obviously a magical occurrence, and the Justice League have headed off to investigate. It's a bit crazy that Superman would go straight up, who's obviously the most powerful being in the DC universe, has decided to go head on against a magical user, even though that's one of his weaknesses. Yeah, I thought Superman was smarter than that, but apparently not. So of course the Enchantress defends herself and attacks, and Superman states that it's the smell of insanity. Who knows what that smells like? But they attempt to fight off the the flying teeth, which is a construct that the Enchantress is a bit crazy, but the Enchantress is insane. So these teeth start to shred Superman because he is weak to magic, as we all know, and it's just too much for the Justice League to handle. Over the page we see Batman and Zatanna discussing the fact that the Justice League have been defeated. It's something that they can't handle and they need a magical user. Zatanna says that the world isn't ready to be without Batman yet. But her, on the other hand, that's another matter. The world wouldn't miss her. And to stop Batman from heading off to join his Justice League comrades, she ties him up in animated wires of the Batcave, which I thought is pretty cool. In a Justice League Dark story, you do want to see the Justice League Dark characters being awesome. And of course she incapacitates Batman with a magical spell, and Batman gets very angry. As we go off the page, we see advertising. And we're introduced very briefly to John Constantine, who was scamming some guy in England. He's pulled through a magical portal, and he comes to the conclusion that Zatanna is the one responsible, because Zatanna's magic is extremely unreliable, to say the least. She can only recite her magical spells backwards, and she's very powerful, but it can be a little unpredictable. Apparently, we see where June Moon has ended up at the moment. She's speaking to Dove, and she has said she needs to speak to a dead man, and we're very briefly introduced to Boston Brand, aka Deadman. Deadman is a character I've had some trouble with in the past. I didn't like the design of his characters, as we can see here with the whole red jumpsuit, but I suppose it ties in with the fact that he is or was a circus gymnast in his previous life. Oh yeah, did I mention he's dead? Hence the name Deadman. But I really got to like him over the next couple of issues, and look at the way he looks there. He's just a badass with the whole red glowing eyes thing. So we spend the last couple of pages at the House of Mystery, in which Shade has found Madame Xanadu unconscious. She appears to be using a drug to I actually can't. Oh, it's there. It's the only time she gets any peace. She needs to use this drug to just block out the visions of the future. They're too much for her to handle. Over the next page, Madame Xanadu explains to Shade that the Justice League has been defeated in this matter, and with what's happening in the world, and that she needs to make her own team, a team of magic users and the supernatural, because they can handle something that the Justice League cannot. Shade, he either knows, he's been told, or he just guessed that these people are damaged goods, and they're dangerous to themselves, To which Madame Xanadu says, exactly, if they're dangerous to themselves, imagine how devastating they could be to an enemy. So we come up onto the last page. It's a very nice image, which is of a mountain of corpses. This is a possible future that exists if the Justice League Dark do not come together. We see Deadman, Zatanna, Constantine and Shade there in the pile of corpses. And something that I thought was interesting is that character there. I believe he's pre-New 52. He may exist in the New 52 universe. I'll get it closer. But I can't remember who that guy is. But yeah, the only one kind of issue I had with this Mountain of Corpses images, which is very nice, is the fact that they had to show off her figure through this dress. In previous images, you know, the dress isn't see-through. So why, when something which is a vision and not actually projecting any light, would her dress become transparent just to show off her figure? I have no idea what this crazy skeleton is. Maybe it's just a visual representation of the tarot playing card, tarot card Death. Next, the war against the Enchantress begins. That's right, we've not even started yet, but it's done a good job of setting the pace and the tone. I also wanted just to mention this briefly. I believe that to be Pandora. I'm getting way ahead of myself. If you own issue 1 of the New 52, a strange hooded character like that can be seen in every single issue 1 of the New 52. So that's something to look at, or look for. So what are my overall thoughts? I really enjoyed it, considering it had to set up the main story of the opening plot arc and introduce members of the Justice League Dark. They decided just to concentrate on just a couple in this opening issue, really get to who they are. In just a couple of pages it establishes who Zatanna is, who Madame Xanadu is, and who Shade the Changing Man is as well. We also see John Constantine in a couple of panels and Deadman in a couple of panels, which leads us to believe, so I'm tripping on my words here, that they're going to be introduced in the next issue. It also sets up the story arc of the Enchantress is absolutely batshit crazy, and the fact that she's just insane, it's spilling out into the world, and that's the overall threat of the of this story arc, the fact that she's just lost control. So in such a small amount of pages, the fact, I mean, that's not long. The fact that he's managed to set up two characters so we understand them a bit more, and we understand the where the story arc is going, I was very impressed by it. And the overall the final image leaves us with a lovely cliffhanger, and it really gets you interested on what the next issue is. The art overall I found also very enjoyable, in particular that last image I really enjoyed. Just looking at the, when I noticed that a few of the Justice League Dark members in there, it just made it a little bit more special. And it's exactly what you want from a comic book artist. It's all very clear, crisp and detailed. You can make out exactly what's going on. There's no confusion. The pages aren't too cluttered. It's very clear. Even in the action, you can see precisely what's going on. I mean, that could look pretty close, but he did a great job there in the illustrations. It's just very colourful and very clear, exactly what you want, and it's all just very pretty. So I love the art direction as well. I didn't like the design of this guy's design of the Justice League themselves. There's just something about it that seems a little off. Maybe it's just the fact that the guy who actually draws the Justice League comic draws them just far, far better. Of course, this guy is concentrating on the Justice League Dark. He doesn't want to make the Justice League look more awesome than the Justice League Dark in their own comic book. So there we go, that's Justice League Dark issue 1 of the New 52. I do hope to make this a series, carry on through the reviews. As I said, this is just me looking at a comic book and giving my opinion on it. And I'm not really a comic book guy, but I just hope you enjoyed this video, and just me looking at the issue, telling you a little bit about it, and it's worth picking up and giving it a read if you're a little annoyed with the superheroes that seem to be everywhere today. They all have super strength and superpowers. These guys don't have any of that. They've just got their magical abilities. in the case of Deadman, he's dead and can possess people. You know, it's all just a little bit different. They don't have super strength, they don't have invulnerability, they can't fly. Well, Deadman can, but they don't have those abilities, and it's refreshing. It really is. So if you're getting a little tired of the superheroes with their powers, it's well worth a look. I didn't think I'd enjoy a supernatural based comic book, but it's very, very enjoyable. I'm not going to put a number on it. This is just more an observation. I'm not going to give it like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 or anything like that. It's more just an observation and a critique, if you can call it that. It's a very amateur critique of the Justice League Dark comic book, New 52, issue 1. So I hope you've enjoyed yourself and just me looking through the issue and just telling you what I think of it. And overall, I loved it. It's great. It really got me into Justice League Dark. I want to pick up every issue, and I hope just to share them with you and tell you what I think of them as the series progresses, all the way up to where DC Universe is now with the Forever Evil arc. I will be covering that and any spin-offs which happen in Justice League Dark. If there's a spin-off issue, I'll try to review that as well. So this has been a look at Justice League Dark, New 52, issue 1. I've been Evan N7 Strider, and I should go.